Now, we recently went into Iraq and Syria. We've been doing a lot of bombings there. Here's something that they don't often talk about. How much does all that cost us? Well, I'm going to tell you. Now, there's a lot of different numbers here. First, we start with a number on the jets that are being used. Now, the good news is that these jets were previously unused. I don't know if that's good news or bad news, but now they're being put into combat in Syria. How much do the jets cost? The particular ones we're using in Syria, $143 million per plane, okay? So, well, we had already built them and they were sitting there, right? But now, goody, yes, we can do bombings with them, and then they'll have wear and tear and we'll have to buy more. All right, now, Cliff Judy at KTVU did some good analysis here. And Cliff found out, as they explain here, in its budget request for 2015, the Defense Department estimated it spent nearly $325 million procuring 196 missiles this year, along with research, development, testing, and evaluation. That's an average of more than $1.6 million a missile. So now, as you see the video games they show you on CNN, where they drop bombs and you see things explode. Now, of course, they don't show you the people underneath those bombs. And now, recently in Syria, we accidentally hit a dozen civilians, including men, women, and children. So they don't show you that part. That doesn't look like a video game. But not only does it have significant downsides in terms of humanity, and it also has huge financial downside. Every one of those missiles is approximately, based on this calculation, $1.6 million. That's a lot of money. We could be doing other things with that money, but that never gets talked about on television. All right. Further explanation of how much money we spent. In fact, the D.C.-based defense think tank, CSBA, estimates that if the U.S. continues with just moderate airstrikes in Syria and Iraq, the cost will range from $200 to $300 million a month. But that cost obviously goes up as military involvement increases. That's why you'll have all these different senators on television talking about, oh, we got to have boots on the ground, we got to increase the activity, we got to do more war. Because then that price tag moves on up. Those government officials, senators, congressmen, one day they'll be working for those defense contractors. I'm going to tell you how much money they're making off this in a second. But, you know, we get lost in the numbers. Think about it. $200 to $300 million. What could your local community do with that money? What could your state do with that money? How many schools could we build with that money? How many hospitals could we build? Every month, that's how much we spend in Iraq and Syria just bombing the place. Okay? Now, last year, the Financial Times did an analysis, as again Cliff Judy explains, and they reported the total spending in the war in Iraq was $139 billion to just defense contractors. And that's just the money we know that's on the books. Okay, so that is a low estimate. But think about that number, $139 billion. That's not what we gave our military, that's not the Pentagon spending, that's just the contractors. Now, they're making a ton of money. Okay, now, the report followed a 2011 commission report to Congress that estimated somewhere between $31 billion to $60 billion was lost to contract waste in Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, was there a congressional investigation? I mean, they want to do investigations about Benghazi and IRS scandals, all these manufactured things like, we found out the IRS scandal. No, they investigated both liberal groups and conservative groups, but they're hearing after hearing. Where's my hearing on the $30 to $60 billion they robbed from us? You want to talk about waste? You want to talk about big government? You want to talk about fiscal irresponsibility? $30 to $60 billion out of our pocket into their pocket, not even for the war. That's just the waste, okay? And waste is a euphemism, man. In Iraq, there was story after story about how they would literally bring in cash full of luggage. They wouldn't even count it oftentimes. They would charge the government whatever the hell they wanted, these contractors, because they knew nobody was going to hold them accountable. So they would charge these gargantuan prices. They knew that they were robbing us blind. That money's gone. No one's ever going to ask for it back because the guys in government are in bed with those contractors. Those contractors are the ones that are giving them their campaign donations that allowed them to get in office in the first place. That's how they make a killing, and we all get killed. So now, we're not done. Now let's go to Bloomberg, and let's find out how much money those defense contractors are making. Led by Lockheed Martin Corporation, the biggest U.S. defense companies are trading at record prices as shareholders reap rewards from escalating military conflicts around the world. two things about that. First of all, shareholders gain some money, no question, but the executives gain the most amount of money. And they're the ones who've set up the system where they funnel campaign donations to the politicians, which keeps this military-industrial complex humming. And right now, they're reaping the rewards of war. Isn't that amazing? And we go on like it's no big deal. Well, obviously, they're motivated to make money, and in order to make money, you have to bomb and kill people. And so, okay, all of a sudden, ISIS, before Saddam Hussein, Bin Laden, Taliban, everybody always be scared. We got to go to war. These guys got to make money. Now, more on how they're making money. Investors see rising sales for makers of missiles, drones, and other weapons as the U.S. hits Islamic State fighters in Syria and Iraq, said Jack Ablin, Chief Investment Officer at Chicago-based BMO Private Bank. President Barack Obama approved open-ended airstrikes this month while ruling out ground combat. Ooh, they love to hear open-ended military affairs. That's money in their pockets. That's why they're at record prices right now. Now, last year, just 5 defense contractors got a total of $105 billion in federal contracts. Here they are: Northrop, Raytheon, General Dynamics, Boeing. Of course, Bloomberg is not part of that. Bloomberg is writing the article. Sorry, hold on. Let me give you the last one here. And did we have Boeing on the list? Yep. Northrop, Raytheon, General Dynamics, and Lockheed. Yes. All right. I'll give you the list again. The list is Northrop, Lockheed, Raytheon, General Dynamics, and Boeing. $105 billion to just those companies. Now, Jack Ablin, the guy whose job it is to understand how all of this works. Now, he's not against it. He's very much in favor of it. I mean, he's neutral. He's making money off this process. He's not with the defense contractors. He decides whether to invest in them or not, right? He says, as we ramp up our military muscle in the Middle East, there's a sense that demand for military equipment and weaponry will likely rise. Now, that's very logical, and that's why they're very excited about more wars. Now, look at this chilling quote. To the extent we can shift away from relying on troops and rely more heavily on equipment, that could present an opportunity. For them, death and destruction is an opportunity. So glad we gave them that opportunity. A Bloomberg intelligence gauge of the 4 largest Pentagon contractors rose 19% this year through yesterday, outstripping the 2.2% gain for the Standard & Poor's 500 Industrials Index. So they're doing a hell of a lot better than the rest of the market. War is good business. That business keeps on rolling. And finally, Lockheed, the world's biggest defense company, reached an all-time high of $180.74 on September 19th, when Northrop, Raytheon, and General Dynamics also set records. War isn't just good for business, it's great for business. You wonder why we're in a perpetual state of war? Follow the money. It's not that complicated. $105 billion a year for just the top 5 defense contractors. Those guys then circulate the money by giving campaign donations to politicians and then hiring some of those politicians and generals as soon as they retire from the Pentagon and from Congress. And lo and behold, they appear right back on television saying, we need more war. All right.
I think, and in case the link is missed, I think it's connected to all these other stories too. I mean, from the fact we just talked about Louis Gohmert saying, well, suddenly Republicans are worried about the president's security with the Secret Service lapses. It goes back to, and that's what's happening with our military. They're going to get, Ebola is scary, Secret Service situation is scary, because it comes back to then we're scared of everything. Scared. As long as we're still scared, we still want to go bomb. We still don't care that it costs billions upon billions of dollars to do this because we don't want to be scared anymore. But the next day there's a new fear. So it's not just because they want to be scared. Yes, a lot of people do live in a perpetual state of fear. But they want to because they're like, we need Americans to be fearful so we can keep spending all their money and wasting it.
That's 1,000,000% right.
No matter what the topic is, it comes back to how scared you are, so you can go back to another war.
And they know that one of the primary motivators for human beings, unfortunately, is fear, right? So they know how to press that button. The fear button is a very, very powerful one. And especially if you're in the war business, it's a gimme, it's a layup. Oh, you press that fear button. ISIS, ISIS, ISIS. Oh, Khorasan. Khorasan's even worse. Al-Qaeda. But ISIS is worse than Al-Qaeda, and Khorasan's worse than ISIS. Fear, 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 fear. And they press that button until you go, yes, yes, please invade, do something, protect me, protect me. All these Republicans, they all say the same thing. I'm so scared, protect me. The government needs to protect you. The government needs to protect you. How are they going to protect you? By giving you more war. Does that actually protect you? No, it brings our troops right into the lap of ISIS. Before, what did it do? It destabilized Iraq. That created ISIS. That Al-Qaeda was not in Iraq. It was in other countries, but it was not in Iraq. Now it is. Now an offshoot of Al-Qaeda that's even worse is in Iraq. And what are we going to do? Oh my God, we got to fight them. You see, war begets war, which begets profits for these guys. Man, we got to get our government back. If we don't get our government back, there's no end to this, except it doesn't end well for us. Okay, now let's move on to Scalia. And I haven't even gotten Unchained yet, but I will here. Okay. Justice Antonin Scalia is very proud of being a strict constructionist of the Constitution, or so he claims. Now, of course, he's no such thing. I'll explain what he actually is in a little bit. But he was recently speaking at a Christian university. It's in Colorado Christian University. And he said this: if I had the other view of the Constitution, referring to the progressive justices, that it was an empty bottle, which was to be filled by my court, and it was my responsibility to decide all these massive ethical questions, if they were all my call, I couldn't sleep at night. Some of my colleagues have said, oh, we agonize a lot. I don't agonize at all. I look at the text. I look at the history of the text. That's the answer. It's not my call. So you say, oh my God, no, these guys, they're trying to figure out what their ideology is and put it in the Constitution. All I do is I read the document and that is it, okay? And I read the history of it. I'm going to give you that document in the history in a second in this context, okay? And we'll find out if that's true. By the way, Scalia was always so consistent, always in favor of states' rights. Unless it was Bush v. Gore and Bush didn't want states' rights in the case of Florida, all of a sudden he didn't care about states' rights at all. Funny how that Constitution keeps changing on Antonin Scalia. All right, now, in this case, he's talking about secularism, and he thinks it's a dirty word. It's a bad thing, okay? First, he explains, as Raw Story here points out, Scalia sharply criticized recent court decisions finding government must be neutral, not only between religions, but between religion and non-religion. So he's saying, yes, okay, the Constitution says you can't pick a certain sect of Christianity over another, but it doesn't say that you can't say religion is awesome, right, as opposed to non-religion. I can discriminate that way. Now, it doesn't say that in the Constitution. I'm going to read you the Constitution in a second, but that's what Scalia made up, pretending to read the text. Okay. He goes on to say, I think the main fight is to dissuade Americans from what the secularists are trying to persuade them to be, persuade them to be true. That the separation of church and state means that the government cannot favor religion over non-religion. Oh, God damn it. Why do we keep repeating things? Okay. Little mix up in the graphics there. That's okay. So, Scalia says further, he said the U.S. system was not set up to promote secular values. Now, that couldn't be more wrong. That's exactly what the U.S. system was set up for. I'll tell you about that again when I read you the Constitution in a second. He said, if the American people want to do it, I suppose they can enact that by statute, but to say that that's what the Constitution requires is utterly absurd. Utterly absurd. Well, all right, then let's go to the Constitution finally and see what it does say. Obviously, in the First Amendment, we have this. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Mr. Constructionist, what part of that did you not understand? We shall not establish a religion, any religion. Not that, hey, you shouldn't establish Lutherans or Methodists as the right religion. You shall not establish any religion. You shall not put it over non-religion. You shall not do it. How is that not clear enough for your knucklehead? The thing is, he loves religion. The only text that he actually cares about is the Bible. Okay? It's not the Constitution. I don't know if he's even read the Constitution. It says, you shall not establish a religion. How much clearer do they have to be? By the way, you want to talk about the context of the Constitution and the history? Did you know we're the first country in the world to not have a state religion? Our founding fathers said that we shall be a secular country, a country run by rule of law, not run by any particular religion. That was the whole point of the Constitution. That's why we were amazing. That's why we're the first country to say we're going to do it in a different way. We're not going to be ruled by Yahweh or Buddha or Allah or anyone else. We're going to make our own laws. He missed the whole point of the country. If that part of the Constitution is not clear enough, I'll give you another part. No religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. The country is not based on religion. How clear do you have to be? All right, you want clearer? Drop it. Seeing as Antonin Scalia is stupid, let's make it clearer for him. Let's go to the founding fathers that he says he reveres so much. All he wants to do is find out their intent and then apply it. He doesn't care about his own views at all. No. All right, well, here is Thomas Jefferson in the Treaty of Tripoli. As the government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion, as it has in itself no character of enmity against the laws, religion, or tranquility of Muslimen, those are Muslims, and as the said states never have entered into any war act of hostility against any Mohammedan nation, Muslim nation, it is declared by the parties that no pretext arising from religious opinions shall ever produce an interruption of the harmony existing between the two countries. Not in any sense a Christian nation. How clear did they have to be? See, Scalia doesn't care about the Constitution. He doesn't care about the Founding Fathers' intents. He's not a strict constructionist. He wants to tear down the Constitution so we could all be ruled by his Bible. That's the only text he cares about. That's why, golly gee willikers, when he applies his principles, it turns out that every time the Constitution says that you should have the Catholic opinion, in every case, well, whether it's Hobby Lobby, whether it's pro-life versus pro-choice, Roe v. Wade, it doesn't matter what the case is. Oh, golly gee, look at that. It's the Catholic position again. What a coincidence. You never read the damn thing. You don't care what the Founding Fathers said. All right, you want to be clear? Here's more from Thomas Jefferson. This is to the Virginia Baptists in 1808. He said, because religious belief or non-belief is such an important part of every person's life, freedom of religion affects every individual. Religious institutions that use government power in support of themselves and force their views on persons of other faiths or of no faith undermine all our civil rights. If you bothered to read the Founding Fathers, you would have found out that you were undermining all of our civil rights. He never cared about the Constitution. He was never a strict constructionist. All he wanted to do was take the ridiculous, antiquated thoughts he had about his particular religion and apply it on all the rest of us. To say that the country is not secular, to say that the Constitution doesn't say that we shouldn't put religion above non-religion is insanity. Secular, let's define secular. He's against secularism. To say that America is not secular is so counterfactual, it defies imagination. Here, let me read you a definition of secular. Of or pertaining to worldly things or to things that are not regarded as religious, spiritual, or sacred, temporal, secular interests, not pertaining to or connected with religion. Okay. You see, when the Founding Fathers say you shall not establish a religion, you shall have no religious test for this government, what they are saying is the government shall not be ruled by religion. It shall be secular. That's the definition. They know that. They don't care. They want to destroy the Constitution. They want to rip it up. They want to shred it. They want to burn it. And they want to replace it with the Bible. The Founding Fathers would be repulsed by people like Antonin Scalia. It's not a theory. They already said they're repulsed by people like Antonin Scalia who want to put their religion above all of us. They set up this country to avoid people like Antonin Scalia ruling us. Don't let him do it. He's a nothing but an utter fraud. He doesn't, not only doesn't understand the Constitution, he hates our Constitution. Read the damn thing. Find out for yourself. All right. Jesus, I'm almost out of time. I got to do one last thing. We'll lighten it up with D'Souza. I love that graphic every time. Okay. All right. Dinesh D'Souza continues to be in the news. Now, remember, he's a convicted felon. He just got convicted. He pled guilty himself. He gave illegal campaign donations. Now, understand, not only is it illegal, it's painfully stupid. I mean, in this day and age, you can't find a way to bribe a politician in a legal way? How dumb are you? Okay, he broke one of the incredibly rare laws we have in campaign finance, where you say you individually cannot give more than $10,000 to a candidate. There was a candidate, Wendy Long, in New York. He promised all these different people, including his wife and his mistress, that, hey, if you give her $10,000, I'll pay you the money back. That's illegal. Now, the person who agrees that it's illegal is Dinesh D'Souza. That's why he pled guilty, right? Now, he only got 8 months of community service in a different confined area, which we'll talk about in a second, and then he got 5 years of probation, okay? Now, he should have gone to jail, but he didn't, and he's ecstatic about that. It turns out that his wife wrote a letter saying, hey, wait a minute, no. His defense lawyer totally misrepresented my position while in court. They kept saying that I agreed to give the $10,000, that I was in on this and I was perfectly happy with it. She's like, no, I agreed to no such thing. This guy's a serial liar. Okay, his lawyer's name is Mr. Braffman. So here's what Dixie D'Souza, the ex-wife of Dinesh D'Souza, says. Nothing Mr. Braffman said on my behalf was remotely correct. Now I must take this opportunity to speak for myself and truly let the record be complete. When talking about whether she actually wanted to give the money to Wendy Long, she said, clearly that was not true. In fact, he signed my name on the campaign contribution form without my permission, so Ms. Long's campaign could retain the entire $10,000 campaign contribution. Now remember, this guy had the balls to do that on behalf of his wife while he was at the same time doing it on behalf of his mistress. Okay, so she says that she is, quote, a victim of my husband's intentional criminal activities. Okay, I'm being light, Dixie. She goes on to explain, Dinesh lied to me. He lied to the government. He encouraged others to lie for him. And now he has allowed our daughter to submit multiple false statements to a federal court in order to avoid punishment. Dinesh D'Souza is not a truthful person. Okay, well, that about wraps it up in a nutshell. But she's not done yet. It is my husband, she says, who has an abusive nature. In one instance, it was my husband who physically abused me in April 2012 when he, using purple belt karate skills, kicked me in the head and shoulder, knocking me to the ground and creating injuries that pain me to this day. Now, look, that has not been proven in a court of law, so take it for what it is. It's a letter that she wrote to the government, right? She's obviously mad that he lied to her about this. She's probably mad that he lied about other things as well. Did he actually use his purple belt karate skills? And let's look at this gentleman. Does this guy look like he has purple belt karate skills? I don't know. I don't know. But he also doesn't look like a guy who'd have a mistress. I don't know. Okay? So, but I do know that she's quite angry and says he's nothing but a liar and nothing he said was true about me. Okay. So now he goes back into court and he's going to say, hey, you know, I'd like to keep writing my books and doing my documentaries. And the judge is confused by all this. Judge Richard Berman says, wait a minute. Your application for me to delay your detention, he says, is, quote, respectfully denied. He goes on to explain, the court is in fact surprised that its September 23rd sentence is not already in effect. In other words, he's saying, what are you doing here? Why isn't your ass in confinement like I ordered back on September 23rd? And then your whiny ass comes back in here saying, oh, you'd like to delay it? You've already delayed it too long. Why isn't this guy in handcuffs? Right? You're a convicted felon, Dinesh. So, I mean, this guy's got some balls on him. Okay? So then Judge Berman can't help but say that Dinesh D'Souza is, quote, a compulsive talker. He's like, in other words, shut up, shutting up. You were so lucky that I didn't sentence you to prison. The prosecutors asked for 10 to 16 months in prison. I didn't give it to you, and you're still here yapping. What are you doing? Right? Well, here's what Dinesh D'Souza was doing in the meanwhile that might have pissed off the judge a little bit. Look at what he did on Fox News.
And your reaction to the sentence, Dinesh?
Well, Megan, I've got a big smile on my face now, and I think I've had it for several hours. I can't wipe it off because this was really an effort to put me out of business. I mean, the government was trying to lock me up for between 10 and 16 months. And a federal judge said no. My own country tried to get me and put me away, and the court said no.
Okay. So here he is, like, basically bragging, what now? What now? They didn't put me in prison. You're a convicted felon. You got so lucky you're not in prison. Don't go on Fox News and be like, I'm grinning ear to ear. Got away with it. Remember, he pled guilty, so he knows he's guilty. But he comes on anyway. It's like, oh, my own government tried to get me. Obama is trying to shut me down because I did those documentaries no one watched. Oh, yeah, it's a conspiracy. Then why did you plead guilty? Because you did it, didn't you? That's not a conspiracy. That actually happened, and you agree it happened. All right, here, one more from this loser.
Yeah, there was just an all-out attempt to put me away. And of course, at the beginning, I was suspicious of the government's motives. If I was locked up, I would not have been able to make a film in the election year, 2016. Now I can do my work. I can continue to write books.
Okay.
I can continue to function.
Can you? Because you have to go live in a community confinement center in San Diego for 8 months.
I'll tell you a good part of the sentence, and I actually thank the judge for it, is I'm going to be teaching English to new immigrants to this country. So I'll be helping with an assimilation process.
That's your community service.
That's my community service, and I'm very happy to do it.
Well, what are you going to do in a community confinement center? Can you imagine the other people who are in there? They're going to be like, isn't that the guy who made the movies?
Believe me, they're all going to be Republicans by the end of it.
Dinesh, it's great to see you.
What a convicted felon. Stitch. All right, let's break down a couple of real quick things. Number one, if you're in with white-collar criminals, they're already Republicans. So you don't have to worry about a thing on that front. Second of all, he said, oh, my God, this is the government. Again, the government's out to get me. So Judge Richard Berman, when he comes back into court, says about the theory that the government was out to get him because of his popular movies. And I love that Megyn Kelly's like, oh, isn't that the guy who made the movies? Which prison or community confinement center in America is going to be like, oh, my God, is that Dinesh D'Souza? Which person in America would say that? Okay. Is that Dinesh D'Souza? Oh. Okay, so Judge Berman says about his stupid theory that it was a conspiracy, quote, that's nonsense. Spin is what that is. D'Souza continues to deflect and minimize the significance of the crimes and his behavior. I'm not sure Mr. D'Souza gets it, and it's hard for me to discern any personal acceptance of responsibility in this case. See, Judge Berman, the way he could have gotten it is if he gave him 16 months in prison, which is what he should have gotten. But nonetheless, he continues to laugh it up. I broke campaign finance laws. I'm so corrupt. I'll make everybody corrupt as I am. I'll make them all Republicans. That man belongs in prison. Nonetheless, he'll make more stupid movies that no one will watch. All right. Young Turks. We'll be right back.
That was a segment from hour one of the show.
Now for the better hour, the second hour.
Drums. You can get the whole show on TYTnetwork.com.
Back on the Young Turks, Cenk and Anna with you guys. Somebody said, Medicine said, God damn it, that man Cenk sure knows how to do a tease. That was, I'm guessing, in reference to the story where we're going to tell you in a little bit about what are the porn prefaces for men and women, but specifically women I find fascinating, okay? So we're going to get to that in a second. I do want to read a couple of tweets. Paula says, I cannot stop my fingers from typing this hashtag. Hashtag Pickles Squarespace. Remember, she had to put the pickles in a square, and that's why Burger King's franchisee punished her. Okay, fix your face with Pickles Squarespace. So, all right, Paula, great one. Nacho Mama says, stuck in jury duty this week. Can't catch the show live. Hashtag TYT membership gold. All right, that's what we like to hear, Nacho Mama. Everybody sign up for membership. And
is it nacho, like nacho cheese?
Yes.
I'm so hungry.
I know.
Sounds so good.
With
right
all
now.
that Burger King talk. Actually, I don't like Burger King, but
It's all right.
I never got
I think
into
their
it.
fries are pretty good.
I think, their fries are pretty good and their chicken sandwich is all right, but
Yeah.
I like other burgers. Okay, anyways, last one. David Decker. Whenever I explain to someone the goals of Wolfpack, they say, wow, you know your politics. Thank you, TYT. No problem. Thanks for saying that. We appreciate it. God bless. At the very least, sign the petition, man. It takes about 7 seconds. Go to wolf-pack.com. So we let them know how big we are and how we can roar together. Over 100,000 on the petition, but we can get it to be much, much larger if everybody participates. All right, now let's have fun. There's very serious stories in the second hour, but we're going to start light and fun. All right.
Yeah, we are. All right. 2 teachers in Louisiana are now in jail after it was revealed that they had a threesome with a male student who was only 16 years old. Now, in Louisiana, the age of consent is 17, but they did start having sexual relations when the boy was 16 years old. Now, the 2 teachers invited the male student to their home after a football game last month. All right, and now, according to police, the English teachers then had sex with the student until the, quote, early morning hours.
Damn.
Now, the women in question are Shelley Dufresne, who is 32 years old, and Rachel Respress, who is 24 years old.
I will not bend on this one. I will not bend.
This is actually the one story where I feel like you and I agree, okay? And the reason why is because, look, they are very, very young-looking teachers. They're very attractive. The boy is 16. He's about to turn 17. 17 is the age of consent. What they did was...
At the time, he's 17 now.
He's 17 now, right. Look, what they did was wrong. Should there be criminal charges pressed against them? I don't think so. Should they be fired? Absolutely, no
Yes,
question,
yes.
right? But let me give you more of the story so you can understand why I'm siding with it. And
Yeah.
I'm sure most people agree.
Let him go!
Just
Let him
calm
go.
down, calm
Okay.
down. The school began investigating the student after the student, now 17, began bragging to other students that he was having a sexual relationship with teachers. He reportedly told investigators the encounter was consensual.
Oh, the 16-year-old was bragging about having a threesome with the 2 hot English teachers. Of course he was. Okay, so I believe, and I have said on the show a million times, that I think the legal age of consent for sex should be 16.
For both boys and girls.
For both boys and girls. Okay. Now, can the teachers have sex with their students? Of course not. They got to get fired. You can't. That's ridiculous. Obviously, you can't do that. It's a workplace issue. Okay. Now, when was this the greatest moment of the kid's life? Absolutely. I don't care what you say. Oh, but later he might be scarred. Blah 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 blah. No. Okay. If you were making that case about somebody who's significantly younger, then we're definitely having that conversation. But we're babying the kids. You could take over as king at 12 in previous, generations. In England, that was the rule back when, of course, when they had their empire. So at 16, we went to war. We were grown up. 16. I mean, we've been past puberty in puberty for 3-4 years at 16. 16 is a perfectly fine age to have sex. Look, do I want my kids having sex at 16? I mean, it's, as a parent, I know you want to root for 18 or 21 or 25, okay? But the reality is, are they ready at 16? Of course they are, right? Mm-hmm. And 2, they're not perfect, those teachers, but 2 fairly attractive English. Oh my, if my 2 English teachers at 16 wanted to have sex with me in a threesome, oh, my face would have melted. I would have been so happy. Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't describe the joy I would have gotten out of that. Let him go.
All right, so let's
let him go. No way criminal charges.
We got it. Everyone wants to let him go. Now, hold on. There's a level of incompetence here that I really want to pinpoint because it just drives me crazy that people are this stupid, okay? According to the police, former students are telling them that the 3 had been hot and heavy for some time, meeting for sex multiple times, and documenting some of their encounters on video.
Oh, let him go!
Great idea.
Let him go!
No, great idea, ladies. Yeah, let's document that shit on video. You're real smart.
Okay, were they stupid in how they handle this? Of course they were. I mean, you think a 16-year-old isn't going to brag to everybody he knows, and then you put it on video and you got texts? You're begging to get arrested because, I mean, they are technically breaking the law, and they just got to hope to get lucky and have me on the jury.
Yeah, they're not technically breaking the law. They broke the law, right?
Right.
But, he's right there on the border. He's about to turn 17, and they're having threesomes with him.
Yeah, and why are they doing that? Like, what I always say to these teachers. Like, you're hot, young teachers, go to a local frat house. They'll screw you silly. Okay? But I think part of the reason they do it is because it's taboo. It's so wrong, right?
You can have all sorts of taboo sex.
I
That's
know.
not illegal.
I know.
Okay.
So, like, again, if he was younger, then it's a totally different conversation. But I think at 16, almost 17, high fives all around.
Dude, I have never seen a 16-year-old boy and thought like, yeah.
I know.
I don't get it. What is
You know
wrong
why?
with these people?
Because you're not a sexual predator. I'm sorry, dude. Hey, you want to be the asshole? I'll be the asshole. Because, by the way, I'm thinking when I was 16, I'd be like, of course, who doesn't? We all think that way. But we always do this. 2 male 25, 24-year-old science teachers have a threesome and screw a 16-year-old girl in every way they can. We're like, oh my God, they groomed her since she was 15, 14. Because they, again, one of the aspects of this case was they were hot and heavy for a while now. Sounds like they were grooming. Whatever, even though they don't see this as grooming, I don't think.
Debbie Downer over here. JR Downer.
It feels really good. It feels
that's the
really
new-
good.
that's
to have
the
a
new
guy
nickname,
make
JR
the point that I
Buzzkill
usually
Jackson.
make, so it feels nice. Jeez.
Buzz Killington over there. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Don't let them intimidate you and bully you into not speaking.
Yeah, bully him, Jesus,
look,
bully him.
He's making a really good point though. Like there is that double standard. If you had 2 male teachers, one who's 32 and one who's 24, having a threesome with a 16-year-old girl, brains would explode. Heads
Now,
would
my
explode.
brain would not explode because, as I've said, I've been consistent on this from day one, both for boys and girls. I believe 16 is the proper age of consent, and I would not put them in prison. I would fire them just as I would fire these female teachers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I would not have them go to prison because they had sex with someone that I think is capable of giving consent.
Consent. Okay, fair enough.
Okay? So we.
All right, I'm gonna hold back that question.
Okay.
Hold it back.
I know what the question is.
Hold it back.
Okay. Don't think I didn't think of the question.
Yeah.
I know.
You don't like that.
No, I mean, I already told you as a parent you don't want it, of
Right.
course, right? But you can't. It's like Ben says about criminal law, right? He's like, yeah, if the famous Dukakis question, what if they raped your wife, and killed her? Would you want to execute him? Yeah, of course I'd want to execute him. That's why you shouldn't make me the judge.
Right.
Okay. So, yeah, if it happened to my daughter, I wouldn't like it. That's why I shouldn't be the judge.
Dukakis. Very unfortunate last name. Has anyone ever said that? I'm sure
the
they
funny
have.
thing is they haven't. That's the funny thing.
Dukakis?
Yeah, I know. I'm with you. No, I got it. There's a cock in the middle. I got it.
Anyway.
And there's a do.
Dukakis. That just sounds so dirty.
But you know what's funny is that all that time that he was running, the people never said. I mean, I never heard anybody say that. Isn't that funny?
Maybe I have a really dirty mind. I don't know.
No, I like your mind.
All right, let's move on to some more dirty stuff. Pornhub teamed up with BuzzFeed to do a study on the porn viewing habits of both men and women, but they wanted to really focus and hone in on the type of pornography that women are into. So as some of you might know, there is a genre of pornography that's becoming a little more popular, and it's targeted toward a female audience. It's more sensual, it's using very, very high-tech HD cameras, there's like slow romantic music in the background, and a lot of these porn producers think that this is what women are into. So Pornhub was wondering, well, is that true? Why don't we look at the numbers? And here's what they found. This is fascinating stuff.
I love this story.
By segmenting by gender within our analytics tools, we were able to generate anonymized data that brings us one step closer to answering the time-old question, what do women want? Well, here are the top 3 categories that women are viewing, okay? Coming in at number 1 is lesbian porn. Coming in at number 2 is gay porn.
No.
Number 3 is teen porn. Teen porn.
Okay, no, so all right, let's stop there because already this is one of the most fascinating things I've ever seen. Okay, because we've got gay at number 2. Well, first of all, I wouldn't have suspected lesbian at number 1. No, I don't think a lot of people would have suspected that because it's not that it's just lesbians that are watching that. Obviously, a lot of straight women are watching that. Then gay at number 2 for women.
For women, yeah.
For women, so they're watching 2 guys. So one of the things that they found out in the studies that women are, in this sense, visual, because guys are always known as visual, like, oh, is she hot, is she not hot, etc. And they care about And straight porn is so gymnastic and like, okay, now we do this, and then I flip her on her head, and then I do this, and then whereas like they say that in lesbian porn and male porn, there's two things, gay porn. One, they're actually seem to want to have sex with one another rather than it being robotic.
To it.
Yeah, it's genuine, which makes sense, right? And also, they like seeing the women, right? Even if it's not like, even if they're straight, they're like, oh, that's an appealing person having some sort of sexual relationship. We like it. Fascinating. But maybe even more interesting is number 3, teen. For guys, I'm not at all surprised. For guys, I mean, we're about to number 1, okay? So that's not surprising. Number 3 for women, isn't that totally surprising?
Maybe that obsession with youth, I mean, extends beyond the male gender. I think women are into youth as well. I don't know. I can't really explain it. I'm just hypothesizing right now.
Right, and remember, teen is largely young women, right? Not necessarily young guys, right? Because it's based on mainly appealing to a male audience. Porn is.
Yeah, I was really surprised about the gay porn specifically. Like lesbian porn, like there's a sensual nature to it that I can totally see appealing to women. Like speaking as a woman, I have no interest in gay porn. Like I can't think of anything, well, no, I can definitely think of things that would turn me on less. But it's just not for me. Like I think part of the appeal of porn is like the fantasy of it, right? And kind of putting yourself in that position. I don't know, it's not for me, but it's interesting to see that for a lot of women it is. All right, so let's move on to men. For men, the top 3 categories, maybe not that surprising, but also kind of interesting. Teen, MILF, and mature top the list.
So now, okay, nobody's surprised by teen. I'm definitely not surprised by MILF. I'm a little surprised by mature, right?
What does mature mean? Does that mean like middle age, or does that mean like...
No, I don't think it means GILF. I think it's basically a similar category to MILF. Right?
Okay.
So now, but if you combine the two, then moms beat teens.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And I'm not surprised that it's a strong category, because what do kids in puberty see a lot of? Moms, right? So as they're growing up, they're seeing a lot of moms around them, right? Not their moms, but other people's moms, right? So that's why it's a big category, but the fact that it's 2 and 3 basically was surprising.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Okay, so let's move on to things like bondage.
Yes.
So I was curious to see what people think about bondage, right? Like dudes are into that, aren't they? Not really.
No, fascinating. Women are into it.
Okay, so bondage falls last on the list for women, but doesn't even earn a place in the men's top 16. Meanwhile, BBW, or Big Beautiful Women, ranks 13th among men's top viewed categories, but didn't even make the list for women.
Okay, that I'm not surprised by, but it wasn't just bondage. It was like rough sex was not in the guys' list.
That's so crazy.
But was in the women's list.
That's probably the most surprising part for me, if you ask me.
Yeah, and then the other things that were interesting were the categories they agreed in, right?
Yep.
Like one of them was... Okay, all right, go.
I have it.
You have it, go.
So, I think this is a little unsurprising, okay? But big dicks
nice.
ranks almost evenly among men and women.
So like, some guys, and I get that, like, wait, for the women, everybody gets it. I got it. Like, is there a category of porn called mid-sized dicks? Right. So in that case, size matters. But I think the men are curious about it, and I think probably they think like, oh yeah, give it to her. You see what I'm saying?
Probably.
Right, and that's why it's in the middle of the pack of among the most desirable porn for both categories.
Yep. So let's talk about other things. Anal, threesome, and ebony are shared proclivities among the sexes. Proclivities.
See, also surprised by that.
Yeah.
I would have thought anal ranked much higher for guys, but no, women are into it. I would have thought threesome would rank much higher for guys, but no, women are into it. I wish that was true in real life. Anyway.
Really? You do?
Yeah, threesome, like when I was dating.
Threesome. Sorry, I was stuck on anal. I'm like, really? That's what you're into?
Okay. And look, but you know, that goes to the heart of one of the things that I was frustrated by. I'm like, so when you're actually watching porn, you're into all these fun things, right? And by the way, anal, right? Yeah. So like in terms of, and the anal you see is separate from the gay category, obviously. Yeah. It's with women, right? So here are all these women are like, oh yeah, that's hot. Yeah, anal, big dicks, threesomes, let's do it, right? And then in the real world, let's not do that. That's crazy.
That is, but maybe it's because when it comes to porn, you want something that's super taboo to get you off, right? So it's not necessarily something you'd want to try in your personal life, but it's like something that's
true.
It's so naughty, like you don't want to do it in real life, but you want to see it.
There's a huge distinction between fantasy and real life that a lot of people don't get. They assume that if you're into a certain fantasy, that you want that in real life. No, the women don't necessarily want rough sex, right? Depends. It depends on the situation. Certainly don't want it when it's not someone they know, right? So people make assumptions like, oh, well, then that's what you want. No, no, no. Fantasy is different than reality.
Absolutely.
So in the fantasy world of both men and women here, fascinating.
Okay, but we have a little more, okay? So many interesting little tidbits here. All right.
Was that a category?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. All right, when it comes to what women actually search for before deciding on what to view, lesbian triumphed again, followed this time by threesome and squirt.
I like how you whispered that. Like, anal was fine, but she had to whisper squirt.
I don't know why. Okay, this is going to be a hard graphic to read because I just hate this word. Even, I don't know. Pussy licking and eating pussy top the list by a fair margin, and solo male videos are 132% more popular with women, which isn't surprising.
I'm surprised it's not 1,320% more popular.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I guess gay guys could watch solo male videos, but if you're a straight guy, like, oh, let me see that guy jerk off. Really? Okay, and that helps how, right? But that's why men and women are built differently. Because women like to see other women even with each other, even if they're straight. Whereas if you're a straight guy, no one is interested. Oh, really? How's he going to do it? You see, that's of no interest whatsoever. Okay, and I like to see that women are into, you know...
What?
The
Pussy licking?
Yeah, why not? That's great.
Of course they're into that.
Oh, I assumed it was women doing it.
I'm sure that both, like they look for both. Yeah.
All right, great. Yeah, all right. Recently in Ireland, we flew in this airline, Aer Lingus.
Shut up.
I swear to God, that's their national airline. Okay, that's the main airline in Ireland. And of course, the first thing I thought when I saw it was, what a cunning airline. I bet it gets searched a lot by women.
Oh my, that is the best airline name ever. Wow. All right.
All right, we done with this story?
Yeah, we're done.
I could talk about that story all day.
I know. But
By the
we
way,
have
then
something somewhat related.
Steve-O then wrote that in a tweet, okay, something akin to that in a tweet, and he included, like, at Aer Lingus. They replied back to him. They're like, you know that's not what it means. In Gaelic language, it means, you know, air flight or whatever.
Gaelic, right?
Gaelic, whatever. Steve's like, yeah, just calm down. I was playing bus nuts. You know why they wrote back to him? Because he got a lot of retweets. They're like, oh, this is not good for business. This fucking Steve-O is killing us. Yeah, we know it, dude. Okay, cunnilingus. Ha-ha. Like you're the first one to think of that, dick.
Oh, my God. All right, moving on.
Okay.
Researchers at the University of Illinois want to see whether or not women become a little more loose when they go on trips. And they found out through a number of surveys that yes, they do.
Of course! Of course! Who doesn't know that?
All right, so let's talk about the study's purpose, okay? It's to understand what drives women to experiment sexually in this drastically different context and what tourists perceive the consequences would be. So here are the results. Being on vacation is magical and gives lady visitors a quote, altered sense of reality while minimizing perceptions of risk and long-term consequences. So again, the study is based on a number of surveys that the researchers did, and the women admitted, like, yeah, when we go on trips, like, we let it all go. Yeah. We have less inhibitions and we have a good time.
We're going to talk about lessons learned in a second, but first let's talk about why, okay? So understand how the male and female genitalia is built is one of my favorite topics. So the male genitalia is built both like as a shovel and a vacuum at the same time. The head is built like a shovel, and that is to shovel out the sperm that we believe is already there once we enter her, okay? Because there is significant intervaginal competition among different sperm from different guys at the same time within the vagina. So you shovel out the other guy's sperm, and the penis is built like a suction. That's what the foreskin's for, to suck out the other guy's sperm. Okay. Now that you know how our genitalia is built, and you have to understand that the assumption, and it's not an assumption by a person, it's evolution brought us this because it's in our DNA to sleep with a lot of people. Not just guys, Women. It's in their DNA to sleep with so many guys, okay, that you got to bring in the suction and the shovel, okay? So as a lot of the women said in those studies, they're like, well, this was our chance to do something without getting judged.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah, you take
Bingo.
yourself out of the context of friends, family, people who are dying to judge you for your every move. You go to a place where you don't know
It got
anyone.
personal for a second.
You go to a place where you don't have to worry about anyone necessarily knowing you or anybody, you know, trying to catch feelings or whatever it is. Yeah,
Right.
you go and there are less ramifications. And also, here's another upside. When you travel abroad and you're about to hook up with someone for the first time and you know you're never going to deal with this guy again, you're really clear about what you want, right? Like, you're not worried about the judgment from him either. 'cause
Right.
After it's over, it's over.
So the bottom line is, get it through your heads. Women want sex. It's not a bad thing. That's a great thing. That's why all the fundamentalists are scared to death. Oh my God, if we let them out, they're actually going to want to have sex. Yes! So let them be free. Let them do what they're literally built by God, if you believe in God, right? He built them that way. He built us that way. Let them do what they're supposed to do, right? Now, of course, that makes their heads explode. I got to wrap them up in a tent and put them in the back and all that stuff. But the reality is, and there's nothing wrong with it. Of course, women want sex. It's the societal pressure that says, oh, we're going to judge you, we're going to do this, etc. And look, in the old days, and now this is a little, you know, pop science and stuff, but yeah, the woman would, you know, go around the corner, right? And whoa, there's another guy. Well, you know what? He gives me genetic diversity, right? Okay,
That's what we're all looking for. We're looking for that genetic diversity.
That's right,
Yeah.
because the more guys you're with, the more likely you are to get good sperm, okay? And there'll be the competition inside anyway, okay?
Wow.
So, and it shouldn't just be on vacation. Final lesson learned, if you're a dude, go to vacation spots. A million times easier. Think about it, okay? I mean, that should be elementary. That should be like in every pickup tape that's ever done, or do they do tapes anymore?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, books, etc. But I don't know. When we were growing up, I don't know why they didn't tell us that. They should tell every kid once they're of age, go to a vacation spot. It's 10 times easier.
Yeah, resort. People are looking to have fun. You still need to have a little bit of game, though.
Of course, you can't just walk up and be like, I am genetic diverse. I'm a different set of chromosomes. Let's do it. Okay, now you got to bring some game.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, one last sex-related story before we go to break. And then when we come back, I promise you we have some serious stories for you. So an internal memo from Air Canada has been leaked to the press. It was specifically leaked to CBC. And it talks about how Air Canada continues to have an issue with its pilots bringing porn into the cockpit. Okay. So, all right. So I want to read you from the memo that's been leaked. It says the following: I am disappointed to have to raise this issue once again, but unfortunately we have some people that have yet to understand the message.
Raise the issue.
So this has come up in 2 different occasions, right?
Okay. Come up.
And so, but here's the thing. It's one specific flight that keeps going to Vegas. And what they found were those like cards that those dudes pass out in Vegas when they're like standing on, when they go like this.
Yeah.
In your face.
Yeah, okay.
Right? And they're just.
In your face.
I mean. Anyway. So like, sometimes they hand it to you and you don't realize what's happening and you take it and you're like, oh. You just put it in your pocket, right?
And then you bring it to the cockpit and attach it to the machinery that's incredibly important to landing the plane.
Yes. Okay, so let me tell you why this is a problem, right? Of course,
Yeah.
there's the pornographic nature of it, but there are some technical concerns. So according to Mary Pollock, who is an aviation health and safety occupational officer, she
that's a
says, the last part of this quote is my favorite, pilots are stuffing paper material inside compartments where electrical wiring is, and that this is a hazard, not to mention that this is a form of workplace violence.
Violence. Okay, she's got to calm down.
Calm down.
Okay. All right, Mary, just please. Okay. Now, she had us until then. Look, don't stuff papers into electrical wiring on a plane.
Mm-hmm.
She's absolutely right about that. But actually, women complain about this. Look, it's not workplace violence, but if common sense says you have somebody who says, hey, I don't like your porn in the workplace, take the frickin' porn down. It's easy, way too easy. If somebody keeps the porn up, they're being a dick.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, and when I read the story, and by the way, some of the pictures were actually violent in nature. Now, I'm not sure she meant it that way, right? But like they had a woman being stabbed or something like that. So, no, my point is that no matter what they are, the guy, by leaving it up, it's not like he's doing it like, oh, I'm going to get off on this.
Yeah, he's doing it.
I mean, I
to be
hope
an ass.
not in the middle of the cockpit with a co-pilot there and stuff like that. He's doing it to say, I'm marking my territory, and I'm not going to listen to the rules, and I'm going to get in your face about it, and I run this place, right? So now if I was his boss and I told him to take it down, and he has that kind of attitude, and it's bothering the other pilots and the other women that are in the area, hey, well, you got to regulate, because that's bullshit. Like, I don't care about porn in the workplace, but if some people are uncomfortable with it, come on, dude.
Yeah, you have to be respectful of your colleagues, absolutely.
That's right. I mean, take your porn home. Well, God bless. Go to work, ironically.
A very serious ending. Go ahead. Never mind.
That was my main contribution to the story.
Right, it was.
Okay.
It was good. Anyway, let's take a break. When we come back, an update on Ebola. It's now here in the United States.
Oh my God, it's here. Well, seek the love.
You liked that, didn't you?
Well, if you like that, you'll love the whole show. TYTnetwork.com. Get the whole show as a member.